What's happening, people? This is Brian Mazik, aka Franchise Play, and this is the last episode of Ask FP on this channel. Click the link right there on your screen to subscribe to the new channel so you can participate and watch moving forward. But let's get into the question of the week, and it comes from JK Primetime. And I had to rework it a little bit for the title, but he says, if Vince Carter had the competitive fire of MJ and Kobe, do you think he would have had a similar career? I do. I really do. As a matter of fact, I think he would have been better than Kobe. I think he could very well have been better than Kobe. I don't know about Mike. I'm not going to go that far. But Vince is a better shooter than Kobe. The numbers really don't lie. If you look up Vince's three-point percentage and compare it to Kobe's, the numbers don't lie. Vince Carter is probably, I feel pretty safe in saying this, a better athlete. As great as Kobe was as an athlete in his prime, Vince Carter as an athlete was bananas. You know what the difference is, though? The difference is what you're talking about. Competitive nature, hard work, working on your body, working on your game, adding other aspects to the game. Vince didn't do any of that. He did it enough, but he didn't do it at the level that Kobe did. And that's the reason. That's what sets guys like Kobe apart from other really athletic wing players. Kobe obsessed about being great, so did Mike, and that's what sets him apart. But from a pure talent standpoint, Vince Carter could have been better than Kobe. Vince Delgado says, I only see Rose, Jimmy, and Portis as locks to return to the Bulls next year. What do you think the Bulls will do in the offseason? Well, Vince, I wrote it down for you. To me, I think that this is what I think they're going to do. I'm not necessarily saying this is what they should do, but I think they're going to re-sign Powell. Believe it or not, the gesture to Kobe, I think, was actually a great foundation because we know how much he loves Kobe. So I think the way they did that actually endeared them to Powell a little bit, and don't think for a second the Bulls didn't know that when they did it. I also think that they're going to hire a defensive-minded assistant coach to kind of help balance out what's going on offense. I think they're going to seriously consider moving McDermott and Mirotic. I think they're going to unsuccessfully chase KD, and when they don't get him, they're going to probably go after Harrison Barnes. And so I think that's that. And then other things are going to be kind of fill-ins. Deontay Rose says, who should Steve Austin have on his podcast on the WWE Network that would be a great interview and storytelling? To be honest with you, you're going to probably be like, wow, really? Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is who he should have. At some point, make sure don't forget to leave a like. I put that there as a reminder for me to ask you guys for a like just as much as I'm trying to get you guys to like the video. I think Hulk Hogan. I tweeted something out earlier today talking about, it was my picture with Hulk Hogan. I had an opportunity to talk to him, interview him at a WWE 2K event. And, you know, we got to forgive people. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody in this world is going to do something at some point, whether everybody in the world knows about it or just you yourself or just you and somebody else, that you need to be asking for forgiveness for. And we got to forgive people. And I think that at some point, I mean, it's not like the WWE has a sparkling image themselves. At some point, he needs to be forgiven. And that's just it. You know, and I think at this point now, he'd make a great interview. You know, it'd be good for the way to indoctrinate him back into the community. Deontay also says, your thoughts on the 30 for 30, 85 Bears documentary, and do you think the 46 defense will work in today's NFL? I believe, I haven't, actually, as a matter of fact, I have not seen the documentary. I feel shame because I haven't. But I don't think the 46 defense will work anymore, and here's the reason why. The game is so catered towards wide receivers, you can't really put your hands on them the way you used to. And when you got that many people on the line of scrimmage, if you can't be physical with wide receivers and intimidate in the box, you can't run the 46. And I think that's why it wouldn't work. Deontay Rose says, one, gotta go. The low-end theory straight out of Compton. B, the college dropout, or All Eyes on Me. All of those albums are classic in their own right, but I might shock you when I say this. But the one that would have to go out of all of those to me would be Low-End Theory. I like Tribe, but my favorite Tribe album is Midnight Marauders. I didn't even really get into Tribe as much until Midnight Marauders. I knew, you know, Bugging Out and obviously Scenario, but Midnight Marauders is what blew Tribe up for me, and that would be the one that had to go. Your friendly neighbor, he's new. What's happening, sir or ma'am? He says or she says, FP, one gotta go. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, or Kevin Garnett. For me, in this particular one, the one that gotta go would probably be Paul Pierce. And it was difficult to really say this because all three of them are great. But Garnett was one of the, he's on another level in his prime than those two, in my opinion. But Paul Pierce, at one time in his career, wasn't really a great defender, kind of had to be pulled into that. And he did embrace it once he got there. And he's a great player, but I just think Ray Allen overall more consistently great. But it's very thin. Donald Atwater says, I just wanted to know if you agree with ESPN's ranking of the 50 greatest NBA players where Kobe Bryant is ranked 12th. For the most part, I agree. There's obviously some stuff that I would change. I think Wilt Chamberlain should be like number 2 or 3. I think people like Gary Payton, Paul Pierce, others should be ahead of Bob Cousy. But Kobe at 12th, if you look at the 11 people ahead of him, and you don't become a prisoner of the moment, because y'all know how it goes. Somebody retire or somebody die, they become the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's just the way people are. That's the way we do things. If a person dies, all of the stories about how great they were comes out of nowhere. People want to make them more legendary than they were. And I'm not saying Kobe's not. Kobe is a first ballot Hall of Fame, one of the greatest players ever put gym shoes on. But I can't argue with somebody saying there's been 11 guys better. I mean, Kobe just was not an efficient scorer. He was the definition of a volume scorer. And so I don't have an issue with that. Victor Daniel Torres says the top 5 free agents for the NFL this season. Now, the tripped out thing about this is most of these guys are probably not even going to hit the open market because they're going to get the franchise tag. But the number 1 free agent is easily Von Miller. He is an animal. He's an absolute animal. Just ask Cam. Even though that first sack he shouldn't have never even gotten, because if they'd have called the first thing to catch, it wouldn't even matter. But whatever. Josh Norman, he's not going to hit the open market. Alshon Jeffrey would be number 3 to me. Eric Berry would be number 4, and I would have Muhammad Wilkerson at number 5. Jared Young says the top 5 small forwards in the NBA right now. Well, obviously, easily. Well, let's go from 5 up. Number 5 would be Melo. Number 4 for me would be Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is really taken. At one point, I considered Kawhi Leonard a jazzy 3-and-D guy. That's really like a 3-and-D guy on steroids. But I think he has really turned the corner to be more than that in the last year and a half. Paul George would be number 3. Number 2 would be Kevin Durant. And obviously, number 1 is LeBron James. Number 1 small forward, not even just it now. He's the number 1 small forward of all time. You better believe it. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but come on, man. Stop it. Jovan Radovanovic says, Radovanovic, I'm sorry. I say, you know what? I say this, like I've been saying your name for well over a year now, sir, and I appreciate you and others who have been as consistent. I really got love for y'all. I ain't never met you a day in my life, but I actually got love for you. Is European basketball, he says, is European basketball atmosphere better than the one in the USA? Which one do you prefer? Now, obviously, I could be a bit biased because I've never been to a basketball game in a European country. I've been to more than I can count in the United States. I'm accustomed to the United States atmosphere, even though some I don't particularly care for. The European atmosphere, from what I've always seen, and I've watched full games in the atmosphere and everything like that, but not being inside the arena is different. I think it's definitely louder and more festive, but it just doesn't feel as much like basketball to me. In some instances, I felt that some of the things that were going on were a little bit distracting from the game. But like I said, I think that's just a cultural difference. I don't think necessarily either is better. I think they're just different. Jovan also says, who is a better prospect, Dario Saric or Bogdan Bogdanovic? I like both of these guys a lot. But I think you got to divide it up two different ways. Bogdanovic, I think, is a better player right now, and he's a little older. He's 23. I believe Saric is only 21. I think he'll be like 22 in April or something like that. Both of them were drafted in the first round. Bogdanovic by the Phoenix and Saric by the 76ers. And that's probably one of the reasons why he ain't in a hurry to come to the NBA. But I think Saric has much more upside. Much more upside. He's a bigger player. And something special about Saric. Something is just special about that guy. Both of them can shoot the ball, shoot the lights out. I think I checked Saric is shooting 42% from three-point range, and he's 6'10", can handle the ball, can pass. But I think Bogdanovic is a better player right now. But I think if he fulfills his potential, Saric will be better down the road. Greg Rempel, I think, you told me, it's Rempel, I believe you said it was. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Says, in your opinion, who is the best quarterback in the 2016 NFL draft class? In my opinion, it's Carson Wentz. Now, I will admit, I have never seen a full... No, you know what? That's not true. I have seen the North Dakota State, I believe it was the championship game, not this year, but I think maybe last year I saw him play. But I really wasn't paying that much attention to him at the time, to be honest. But I'm not a big believer in Jared Goff as a franchise quarterback, but there is something about Carson Wentz. The size, the arm strength, but more than that, the leadership and the confidence. I believe in that dude, and I think he's the best quarterback. If I had to pick one, he'd be the guy. Jared Young says, who would be the best power forward or center to match up against Draymond Green and the Warriors small ball? Now, this is the last question of the day. For me, personally, man, you know what? No, this might not be the last question. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, what I would say is, you know what? It is going to be the last question. I just made up my mind right there. The best guy for me, to me, has to be a guy with length and with athleticism. And that's somebody like Karl Anthony Towns or Anthony Davis. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.